Hi, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Sheridan.
And together we're Sipping on Spice Podcast.
And we treat these like a girls' night. So once a week, Jordan and I get together and we talk about a book that we've recently read. Now, our thoughts do get a little unhinged sometimes, so you're definitely going to want to grab a beverage for this.
Yep, and we rate everything on a star scale, so 1 to 5 on how good we thought the book was, as well as a penny scale. We use this instead of a spice scale because if you can picture penny pasta, you can picture why. And we'll also rate that on a scale of 1 to 5 on how spicy we thought the book was.
Yep, and this week we're going to be reviewing Lightlark by Alexaster, which I hope I pronounced their last name correctly, but I am so excited to talk about this book. I cannot wait.
It was like I didn't take as many notes throughout as I had planned. Mm-hmm. And then by the end, I was taking all of these notes. And then I just sat there for an hour after I finished it and just cranked out. Like, it was like my brain took a while to catch up to how much happened so quickly.
Totally. I feel like the last 100 or so pages, like when we were texting, you talked about like you sped through the last 100 or so pages. You almost ping pong back and forth so quickly of like, whoa, what just happened? I literally reread the ending of this book right before we recorded just so I could have all thoughts be coherent. Because I think so much happens in like the last bit of the book.
Yeah. So I do want to start off with, I felt from the beginning I didn't trust Celeste.
Same. Oh my God, same. I wrote that down to talk to you about.
This was like a key, like you always talk about, like if they're telling you that they trust them, we don't trust them kind of thing. So I feel like they were so in our face with Celeste that I knew right away, like, okay, so if she appeared in your land with what she thought was your artifact and you just don't take it and you suddenly bond, there's no way. There's no way. You're up to something.
No, I totally agree. I wrote down the exact same thing. Don't trust Celeste. And I also thought some of her reactions earlier in the book I wrote down were suspect because it almost always seemed like Isla, our female protagonist, can't follow the rules, or it almost was always like Isla was in trouble with Celeste. Like, quote unquote, they were so close, best friends, but it was almost like Celeste was always talking to Isla like she had done something wrong or she was in trouble.
I totally agree with that. And I thought the second they said the betrayal, I thought Celeste.
Right.
I didn't think everybody.
Oh my goodness. So I wrote that at the end too. This girl, Isla, is going through it. Literally everyone.
I honestly really liked her too. For a good naive, like in my mind, she's almost like a Poppy-esque character, like in the first book of From Blood and Ash. No spoilers, like at the very beginning, you kind of meet her as like an innocent girl because she's been so sheltered. Yes. And she mirrored that kind of like naive
naivete. I totally wrote that down too. I wrote down Isla is actually pretty bad for being so sheltered, like for being this type of female protagonist. Like she's actually like when they go into all of her training for combat and how Poppy and Tara, her guardians, are training her for the Centennial. I wrote down like they actually did like a really good job, and that I was surprised, but very happily surprised. I really liked her.
So here's the thing that I was thinking is I immediately hated Poppy and Tara.
Interesting.
Because they were so mean to her. Like the fact that they kept taking from her. Like, okay, the one that really stands out to me, because there were many memories that she has of this. And there was one particular one where she had to hang from the tree.
Yes.
So she could go to that event and finally actually go out. And they told her because she like showed pain that she couldn't go. Like that made me so sad for her. And that was like one of the things I struggled with so much because while I do agree with your point, they absolutely trained her very well and did her a lot of justice, even if Celeste only wanted to betray her.
Right.
They really did prepare her, but she was kind of like emotionally bullied by everyone the whole time.
She was. I thought, okay, so before we get, because I have a lot of thoughts to share there. Before we get into that, should we do a quick synopsis?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to let you take the wheel on this because I don't think I could give you a synopsis.
I was trying last night to explain this book to my husband, so I kind of was trying to do a synopsis for him. There are rulers from 6 different realms, and they all have different powers of the realms, and they also have coinciding curses from an event where the curses were cast like centuries ago. To break these curses, one ruler from each of the 6 realms goes basically to like a Hunger Game type event, like a centennial, they call it, like a trial where there's a lot of competition, but also overall they're trying to break the curses, because only one ruler from each realm can go. If the ruler is not successful, the curses continue, and basically they have to have an heir that then has to go to the next centennial event that only happens every so often. So it's a lot of pressure, which kind of ties into the whole Poppy and Tara being her guardians and training her for this centennial event. And big synopsis, big spoiler, but if you're listening to this, hopefully you've read this and it's not a spoiler for you. She is the ruler of the wildling realm, which are supposed to be like seductresses and like in tune with nature, but she was actually born without powers. So she's kind of hiding that the whole time in her trials.
Only to find later on at the very end when everyone just decides to unload their on her
and betray her all at once.
It was just like, it was like a Maori episode, but like if everyone in your life stepped up and told you something about yourself you didn't know.
Okay, there's one person that was there that did not betray her and didn't have a shocking secret to tell her about how hard he betrayed her. There's one person that didn't. I can't wait to get into this.
I am so excited to talk to you about this because I went from obsessed with Grimm.
Same.
Like his anything. Every time she would ask for something, can I ask you something? Will you do something for me? Always the anything. Mm-hmm. And he had me eating out of his hand. And by the end, the level of betrayed I feel, I don't think I can forgive him. I don't know if I'll ever forgive him. I don't know either.
I don't know either. I was so shook, especially because I saw artwork for this series, no spoilers, on TikTok, and I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with Grimm. They look so cute. I love this artwork. The artwork was gorgeous. I was all for Grimm. Reading it too, I was like, you're right, like that I would do anything for you. How he kind of helps her in the beginning with her trials, like gives her some secrets, tips and tricks, so to speak. And Oro, the other love interest, I suppose, like, because it is a bit of a love triangle. Oro does kind of betray her in a moment, but then we find out very quickly he didn't betray her when he shares her secret to the other rulers and kind of outs her, and she totally didn't want that to happen. He does that briefly, but then he does quickly resolve that and explain that. And I accepted his explanation.
I really did too. Oh my God. So I feel like the huge moment for me was when she's falling and they could share power, and the person who pulls her out is Oro.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yep. I did not see that happening. I was so ready for it to be, because I felt like, okay, going into it, I started to get this feeling the way they described Oro, like, okay, we might be headed for a love triangle.
Same.
I wasn't certain, but I felt it. So I started to really pay attention to how she described her reactions to him, because I feel like that's always the hint, right? The female lead is always like, oh, I felt so bothered, or whatever, whatever term they want to use, right? By being near this person, this thing happening. I felt like the way she described her moments with Oro was not the same as the way she described her moments with Grimm. And for her to, at that very last minute, be like, I'd been hiding these feelings. For me too.
I know. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I thought when I was reading it early on, because I was like, I had thought when they first describe about Grimm, kind of her recognizing him or being like, hey, have we met before? I was like, oh, they have a past she doesn't know about yet, because the author pointedly said that. So I was like, okay. And then I did love all of Grimm's helping her out. He comes to her rescue a few times, but then when he, Oro, for me, what I thought, I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. I'm interested to see where this goes. He specifically says, and this gets me in my heart. Gets me with male leads, as you know. Oro specifically calls out like, oh, you think Grimm has been the most forthcoming leader? Like calling out like, hey, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And then 2, he says, and it's true, he never lied to her. And so this love triangle is going to be so interesting
it's going to be so hard.
It is.
I do want to talk about, because she did allude to like her knowing Grimm, seeing Grimm. So you want to know what I thought, actually? I had initially thought, because she talked about speaking her secrets to the wind in Wildling. I thought that because he's kind of like a shadow daddy vibe,
Right.
I thought he like heard, like, you know what I mean? The wind brought it to, the secrets were brought to him. Almost.
Got it.
Was where I thought they were going with it. So I was like, oh my God, it's going to be so romantic. He like knows her from afar. He's been listening to her only for him to gut me.
Oh my God, I know. And then also I thought it was like, okay, I also was shooketh when Oro is the one that can pull her up, because that means they're in love. So the rulers can share power in this world if they're in love. So he grabs her power to control vines, because wildling control like plants. I was like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. And also we had just found out about Grimm's betrayal, which we should go in more detail on. But when we just found out Grimm's betrayal, it felt so vindicating that he had to sit there and watch, knowing that homegirl is in love with Oro because he could share her power.
Yes. It was like my heart, like my soul left my body, but also like my middle fingers were in the air, like on the way out of the whole, like, take that, Grimm. I also want to know that right before that moment, Celeste outs Oro for being in love with her. So we don't know that she's in love with him back.
No, until that moment.
Just before that moment, she's like, you got them both, and everybody, and I had no idea. So I was like,
Pikachu face, Pikachu shot.
I was like, I still cannot verbalize. I was shocked. The way that they just reveal.
Last 100 pages, back to back whiplash. I knew Oro was in love with her because she makes a point to say he had never laughed or smiled until Isla.
I just thought of it like, I thought of it almost like a friendship, like I thought it was going to be like an unlikely friendship where they're like, I really felt like they kind of teed us up in almost like a more mature Twilight way. Like they gave us Oro. I'm worried that Oro is Jacob, and I'm worried that Grimm is Edward. And
I don't know how I feel about it. I agree. Now, do I think from the author and the book series perspective, no spoilers, I don't know anything because the third book's not even out. I think Grimm's going to be endgame.
And we haven't read book 2.
Yes.
So we literally won't touch it until we finish this, just so that we cannot spoil.
Right. We don't know anything about it. In my gut, I think you're right. And I think Grimm is going to go the way of Edward, and he's going to be Edward, and Oro is not going to be your endgame. But I do think in this book, we saw a lot of evidence that maybe Oro should be endgame.
And this is, okay, yes. And I also feel like the key thing is Grimm says at the very end, you don't remember our memories, but when you do, you'll be back. So how much did she not know? Totally. You know what I mean? Like maybe because she's mainly upset that he did not include her in the plan.
See, yes. Now I do. Okay, I have so much.
So what if she was?
What if she was? That's true. We don't know until book 2. There could be a strong case made for Grimm, and we do forgive him, but it's going to take a bit. But also, I think what's hard about all this, unless she was involved in the plan, to me, it's hard to believe Grimm is so in love, because I really thought at the beginning of the book, when we meet Grimm, it's lust. She's really sexually attracted to Grimm. She's gotten all these spicy feelings and thoughts, but she actually has more of a relationship that's built with Oro over time.
But I think that was the point. They do purposely set us up, though. If you remember, Grimm tells her he stayed away so that she could entrap Oro. So pretty much everybody's plan for her was to entrap Oro in her guiles. But the fact that he could, this actually really triggered me as like the kind of romance readers you and I are.
Yes.
And I feel like you're nodding because you already know. It's that he could watch her and walk away for days and be like, it's for the good of the people.
Exactly. I'm in love with her, but I'm totally okay if she hooks up with this dude. Like, to me, that's not love. To me, I the same point. I wrote that down, that same exact point. Like, that is
because she could have taken it further.
She could have hooked up with him. We don't know. It's a romance novel. They could have been banging in the woods when they were looking for the heart.
This is actually really important that I want to note that I'm actually very upset about, probably the most from the memory wiping. And here's what it is. When she starts kind of fooling around with Grimm, she notes that and Oro asks her too about her past relationships. She notes that she doesn't have any experience.
Exactly. So she does.
She does, and she does not remember. Grimm took the memories of like her first time, like there's something so deeply wrong about that for me, that unless this memory tour we're going to go on comes out hard grim.
And that she was in on the memory wiping plan and she was like, yep, you're right. This is the plan. I agree. Please do this. If she does not have consent of it though, I also, even if he has the best explanation in the world, I think it might be hard
for her. Here's the other thing too, is like, okay, we are of the age where we watched Twilight and read Twilight as it came out. Exactly. Did you read Twilight? I read it. Okay, good. I was like, I assumed you did. I remember watching New Moon in theaters together.
Yes.
At midnight.
Yep. I was like, good memories. Yes.
But as a younger adult, I thought, yay, Edward, right? But just hang in there for Edward. Going back and rewatching it, because they started putting it on, like, I can't remember what streaming platform. Let's call it Netflix. They put it on the whole series, and I was like, well,
it's time.
Don't tempt me with a good time. I sat down and watched it from end to end, and I was Team Jacob.
Same. Okay, so I am Team Jacob from the start, as you know, from back in the day, because I thought Edward
saw red flags.
I did. He had some emotional manipulation going on. Like Bella was manipulated. So I think that what I'm worried with Grimm, I think is also your point too, where I'm worried here is Oro may be the more
the better choice.
The better choice, unless we learn more, unless we find out more. Also, what I loved about Oro, like coming to her rescue, is he was hesitant to fall in love because he thought he was under a spell per her powers at being a seductress. And then he finds out she doesn't have powers. So in that moment, he must be like, oh, dang, I do have feelings for her.
It was okay. And you know what else is weird about Oro, though, is they did describe him as like lifeless-eyed half the time. And so I thought for a long time that was like a reference to something, you know what I mean? Like for a while, I actually believed that Grimm was projecting Oro, like he was both of them.
Ooh, I thought that too, because remember, they never hung out at the same time. He would be gone a week and then he'd come back.
Yes, and then Oro, she would say like his eyes were lifeless, and like she has that same like I think it's the combat scene where she has a moment with Grimm and then a moment with Oro, and it just felt like they had the same thoughts or were you know what I mean?
Yes. No, I actually wrote that down. I thought that too for a while, specifically that, or they were in on it, or they shared something, or they were the same person. Yeah. Like something was going on. And I guess in a way we were right at the end, because Grimm is definitely in on her trying to get close to the King Oro unknowingly. Yeah. She's unknowingly getting close to him. But he is in on that, which is why he goes away. But I agree. I thought they were like, we were Spider-Man venoming it or something, that they would only, or something. If I lived in this world, I'd want to be a wildling. Like you can control nature and flowers. That was
I can see that for you.
One. That was note number one. What would you want to be out of the realm?
That's interesting. I would be somewhere between Oro's, his I guess he has a lot of power. His Sunling. I liked that, but I also really like the Nightshades.
Oh, yeah, that would be hard. My only thing with Sunlings and Nightshades, until the curses are gone for both of them, they can't be outside on the opposite end of the day. Like, I would hate to never.
She just solved it.
That's true. She did solve it. Okay, yeah, but
you just moved there.
True. But I would still pick to be a wildling. When I read that, I was like, oh, that's so cool. The only thing I thought was kind of strange about it is they always describe her hair as wild and natted in her crown. And I'm like, okay, you're supposed to be like this seductress and beautiful, brush your hair.
I know she's supposed to be more like that effortless, like wavy. Or like she describes it as knotted, but really she's just like
beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of how I took it. Like just like, oh, it's so caught up. But
yes. I wrote down that I was like, it's knotted. Excuse me.
Well, I struggle with the fact that she was always wet. Like she spent 70% of the book getting just soaked everywhere she went.
Well, maybe that was part of her seductress plan.
Grimm's whole plan was actually just a wet t-shirt.
Basically, it's like, go through trials in the water.
Would be a shame if you only were silky material.
Exactly. But yeah, I cannot wait to see where this love triangle is going to go, because I felt the exact same with you. Like, I loved Grimm in the beginning, and then I absolutely loved the middle of the book when she actually builds a relationship and a friendship and then love with Oro, because it is built on friendship. Like, they go through the searching together, they make plans together. When she does believe that he betrays her by telling everyone her secret, that really hurt my heart, because I was like, she just made a friend.
Yeah.
And that was kind of her trial in the book, as she was so lonely.
And it was like some of the first decisions she made for herself.
Yes.
I think that's what's so important, is like every decision she makes is almost like the first one. So it's like, if you get betrayed at every decision you make, you're like, maybe I just go back to not making decisions. That was pretty cool.
Right. It was pretty nice when I didn't go through all this. Yeah, let's talk about how at the end, speaking of making all her own decisions, because also her trial in this book, I love how the author played it out, where it was like, at first she just wanted freedom because she was the bird in the cage. Mm-hmm. And then after she wanted power, when she thought that was a possibility for her because she was born powerless, like through the centennial. And then she realizes she just wanted love. And she even referenced a future with Grimm. And then a few pages later, we find out that her friend, her caregivers, her guardians, and Grimm all betrayed her in quick succession. Yeah. So all those dreams gone.
And what's interesting though is they didn't tell us what she actually went after in the ice.
They didn't.
There was something there. We don't know what it is still. I feel like that's going to be important.
I agree.
Because she followed her heart.
Yes. Like, from her gut, she felt that there was a path that felt like home and what was familiar. And then there was another path that was like tugging at her, and she wanted to explore what it was.
Oh my God. What if it's the two, like one was Oro, one was
Grimm. Ooh, and Grimm. Ooh, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Here's what I also find very interesting about the Grimm Oro dynamic, just in general, is that in both of their plans, they plan to get rid of the other one.
Yes, Oro and Grimm, like they both wanted to off each other.
Yeah, nobody ever talked about any of the other courts. They were never on the table, except for maybe the Starlings, and even then they didn't really sell that. So like the only choices were Oro and Grimm now.
Oh, yep. There's something going on there too. I have more to say here, because another part of this too that was just like such an O for me with how everything played out. She was willing to say, hey, I really want this power. I've been powerless, but if it means losing Grimm, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take the power, and I'm going to save him. And then homeboy, a few pages later, we find out kind of what his deception is. And it's just, she was willing to give up what she wanted, you know what I mean, for him.
Yeah, and the other thing that really stood out to me, and I guess made me anxious for like the ending of the book, is she calls Grimm out at one point in time and says, "You're not telling me everything." And he said, "There are some things." More than one that I'm hiding from you. And she gets one thing and she's like, "Oh, that's it." And I was sitting there like, ask more questions, ask more questions, ask more questions.
There's more coming.
That was vague.
Yes. Another thing that bothered me, because you know me, when Celeste / Aurora, which we do need to talk more about that deception, but Celeste / Aurora is going through her spiel, her villain speech. She says back in the day, the original Centennial, or when the curses, were placed, that how she was able to do part of this, of her curses and everything, her plan, was she tricked Grimm into banging or wanting to bang a beautiful wildling. And it obviously wasn't Isla, but remember, she said that a part of how she had happened, what happened, her evil plan, was that she was able to, like, she tricked Grimm. And it just kind of made Grimm come off to me like a skirt chaser, or like I didn't love that. What a
classic term you whipped out. You skirt chaser.
Right? Or like,
Scandalous.
Yes. I was just kind of like, and then Isla's a wildling. I don't know that that's the worst thing Grimm did. I don't even know if that's going to be explored more. I don't think so. But I think that
she's going to be like a reincarnation of herself or something.
Oh, I don't like that. I hope not. I hope not.
It does feel yucky. I am currently Team Oro.
Same girl, same. Which I did not expect. I even texted you last night, like, so how am I Team like Oro? Shocked.
Like, you're blonde.
Is the blonde guy gonna get the girl? Like,
I I literally, my brain can't comprehend that the hot villain might not be Endgame.
And he might might be an actual villain. He might not be a morally gray good guy for her. He may actually be the bad guy, you know?
This is interesting. I really enjoy red flags.
Exactly. But I don't like these red flags.
No.
Because again, it's the things that we don't like. You can be morally gray. You can have red flags. But you have to be obsessed, jealous, possessive. You have to not do anything that kind of like Grimm is doing, where he's like, oh, yeah, go seduce Oro.
You know,
go do that.
Well, you said something. I had a brainchild that I didn't have before. He mentions multiple times, he says, my heart. He does. So there is the point at the end where she had the heart of Lightlark. And she alludes to that was the extra piece of her heart. But what if that's not all of it? What if there is like you know what I mean? And that's when we'll start dabbling in that reincarnation.
Yep, probably.
I feel like that's where I feel like if they're gonna make me forgive this, they're gonna have to tell me that she knew she was in on it from the beginning and she said she wanted to do this, that she convinced him and he didn't want to do it, that he followed her every time she was with Oro, and that they knew each other in a past life and she was the original wildling he fell for and it wasn't a trap, he loved her. That maybe those are the key points.
Yeah.
That will take me out of Team Oro back into Team Grimm, but it would be regretfully so.
Like I said, I think that I don't know what's going to happen, but if we go back into Team Grimm territory, they're going to need to make a strong case for it. And then I will also
It's like a soccer game too. You're like, we're headed back into Team Grimm territory. Let's see how he handles this one.
Right? Exactly. And then I will also, in the same breath, unless they do some real Tamlin character arc trajectory for Oro, I'm going to feel sad for Oro. If we do go back into Team Grimm, so far, Oro has not been someone I want to root against.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the biggest challenge, especially after I looked at fan art, because I feel like they go forward with how old they are and not so forward with how hot they are.
Right. The grid fan art, I'm like, okay, I get it, Isla. I
had to look up spoiler free, though, because I was really worried. I do think one piece of artwork we have seen is a spoiler, actually.
I think so, but I don't know how or where.
Yeah, I don't have enough information, and I currently refuse to accept it into my catalog of data, my data warehouse.
On which soccer team, which side of the field you're going to be on. No, exactly. I agree. I really don't know what's going to happen in the next book. Second book, I don't know what's going to happen in the third book. I'm just along for this ride, and I can't wait to find out. I wrote this down. It's been so long where I've genuinely been in a love triangle situation while reading, where I'm like, I don't know who, I'm confused. Yeah. This is hard. It was such a fun read for me, I think, because you didn't know what was going to happen, and also it made me feel things about the love triangle I haven't felt for a love triangle in a long time. Yeah.
Like, I think the world is cool and stuff. I feel like we're going to grow with this author a bit through the books. I imagine it'll feel a little bit like Throne of Glass, where maybe some of the plot starts to get larger outside of just the love story, because I do think the love story is incredibly interesting. Alongside the plot, I imagine that we're going to get a little bit more of that fantasy plot world side. So I do think, like, because I had somebody ask me, like, okay, well, I saw a lot of bad things about it. Is it a good book? And I was like, yes, I think it's a great book, but I think that I do see nuances that I think will become less green over time. Is that the way I want to word it? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I can see what you're trying to say. I did. It's interesting because I did see mixed feelings on just like TikTok about this book and this series, but I genuinely really, really liked it.
I did too.
But I could see maybe what some people are thinking of. And you have a really good point. As the author grows and as the story progresses, it might get a little bit more expansive. But at no point did I not enjoy the book. At no point was I frustrated. At no point, really, no. And I was along for the ride. And I did not feel like it was telenovela. I did not.
That's what I was just about to say. I think the difference in mindset between like Filthy Rich Fae and what we just read versus this. It definitely feels more baked into that fantasy world, less of that telenovela drama. I think I was mainly wondering if the criticism came more from a place of the same way you see like the first couple books of Throne of Glass get criticism, because you're seeing a green author really develop. I don't know if this author is green, but I see such great structure and content to it that it's hard for me to look at it from the negative side without trying to figure out some sort of English critical thing to think about.
Right. And I didn't, because that will take me out, like actually how the book is edited, like the sentence structure, etc. I did not feel that way in this book at all. Okay. Yeah. Like I at no point did I think often incorrect grammar. That did not stand out to me, or really choppy sentence structure. That didn't. I thought the prose did flow well.
That was the only thing I could think of where I was like, I don't see why this isn't actually living up to the hype for people. I was actually really shocked at that. I think I was ready to come in here and hit like a 3-star situation. That's where my mind was at with it. I have changed that, and I'm actually comfortable diving into a rating if you are.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I am thinking 4.5 stars.
Ooh, okay. Why the 0.5 off? I want to know.
Just because I feel like it's so hard. It's like I feel like the next one is going to be 5. So like I feel like I don't quite understand the 5 that she can give me.
Gotcha. So
does that make sense? Yes. But I could see it as a 5 too. I don't know. Now I'm doubting my rating. I do. I love it.
Okay, good. Me too. I loved it too. So I am going to give it 5 and because of the enjoyability of reading it.
Yeah.
Like, I was enjoying myself. I wanted to know what was happening. I shockingly really loved Isla. I actually went into maybe I wouldn't, but I actually loved Isla, and I thought that she addresses her naivete, or she addresses her being sheltered, and I liked that self-awareness, and I liked how I think she's going to super blossom from here on out.
Yeah.
It's a 5-star for me based on how much I enjoyed reading it.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the only reason I initially thought is because I thought, she's going to grow so much in this next book that you're going to be like,
it's way better.
Forget book 1. Let me talk to you about Nightbane. You know what I mean?
Yes, I hope so. I really hope so. I know, I agree. Okay, how would you rate it for spice?
Half a penny. There is one mildly, mainly closed door scene. It's described in a, again, Throne of Glass-esque way where it's very, very high level. I'm fine with that. I thought it delivered. I thought the story delivered. I thought the tension delivered. I thought it suited the book.
Same. Agreed. I would also say half a penny, if any penny, because it is just like a few sentences, but it was closed door. But I agree. I think, and I do think
strong paragraph.
But I do think it's going to probably get spicier when those memories come back.
I do wonder. I wonder how much spicier it will get. I also thought, again, the spiciness of it made sense because of how much we go through and how much happens, that I thought that it would have made the tone strange if it was further along.
Totally. Oh, I completely agree. I will also, oh my gosh, I wonder if we're going to get spicy scenes with her and Oro.
Oh my God. So I actually did think about this and I wrote this down. The fact that she immediately, which again is the healthy thing to do, don't take me wrong. They have a moment in the room where they could like kind of make an initial move. They now know that they're in love with each other. And she decides to take it slow because she's made the wrong decision before. Again, the right move to make. Healthy move. But I think it's one of those things where it will never happen. It will be they will, they won't, they. They're going to Jacob us. I'm telling you, this is Jacob and a new way. And I am not currently behind that initiative. I think that she should drag Grim through the mud. She
should make him suffer a little bit. Oh, I hope we get that. I agree with you, but also I hope we get some suffering of Grim. Oh, I do. If we're going to go down this path, you better have a really strong explanation. He better grovel a bunch. I don't think the love triangle's over. I don't think Grim and Isla are like, okay, cool. Yep, actually we broke up. You betrayed me. I don't think Isla's 100% Oro. I don't see the story going that way. So I think we are going to see more of Grim. And I think that if we are going to go down that path again, he needs to grovel. I also need his POV of the pain I hope he felt when
I do need more POVs. I want all 3 of them. Yes, I want to be so mentally confused by the end of Night Name that I don't know what I want. Okay, you better muddle me up, baby.
I totally agree. Okay, should we talk about just Celeste / Aurora's portrayal?
Yeah. Okay, so I guess it's hard for me to feel a lot of ways about it because I felt like from the moment I met her, hater, you're a problem.
She's gonna betray you. Yeah,
I was always waiting. I
felt that way too. That because again, the way she kind of talked to her, I was kind of like, what was hurtful, I guess, for Isla is she even goes through. She's like, oh, it's Zul, another leader. Oh, it's Ella, her handmaiden, basically during this. And then it finally clicks for Isla. No, it's Celeste, and then it's just. Oh, girl, like my heart felt for her when she goes through the mental trajectory and processing that, oh no, you thought you had a friend and you didn't. And then, Whew.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Isla ever saw the red flags for Celeste. How could she? And then the disrespect for Celeste / Aurora to call her little bird when Isla always said
that same thing. You caged her. Celeste caged her.
Exactly. And then the audacity to be like, you little bird. Oh, I hated that. Okay, I have a question because I know you'll probably know, but I didn't know. Who is the bird that follows her? Or what is the bird that follows her finally to find the heart?
So I think she initially thought it was
Cleo's
bird. And what she ended up realizing is that the bird was guiding her to the heart. So the bird's whole point was he was always trying to be like, follow me. This the way.
It was just
I think it was a part of the prophecy, and I don't want to butcher it.
Okay.
But it was something along the lines of it'll show up when you need it, when it's needed,
you're right.
Things like that. Right. I think it's got to do with the language that was used because they can't just mystically find something. There had to be some assistance in the curse. The curse seemed actually pretty balanced and fair. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was the guidance, right? How else could you accomplish it? Because I also don't think that the curse would work out. Like if they all died, they all died.
Right.
I think the curse was meant to be broken.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
I didn't feel like a true doomsday hex. It didn't feel like one dark window.
Right. No, I agree. And I thought it was really interesting too, because of how specifically Aurora / Celeste, she curses wildlings. If a wildling loves someone, they have to die because the man she wanted to marry fell in love with a wildling. So I was like, that's where she's going with that trajectory in her curses.
Which is also interesting because, so she had all of these powers locked down. Mm-hmm. Why were they locked down?
That's a good point because
I'm getting at?
Yes. So Isla, to confirm or to clarify, is Wildling, but she's also Nightshade from her ancestors.
She's Wildling, but she has Nightshade and she has Sunling, I think. I think she's all 3.
Was she? Oh wow. So like Oro, because Oro is also all 3.
His is from the land. His is from actually being on Lightlark or something.
I think so because he's.
The magic of his people's.
I don't think Oro's Nightshade because they have bad luck.
No.
He's Moonling.
Yeah.
And Starling? Because I don't think he was Wildling. He was 3 of something.
Yeah. And he notes that she's more powerful. So so then she just absorbed Starling, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she has 4 of 5. Yes. Aurora.
And gave their powers through whatever.
Right. Through the magic.
The magic of like those phantom scenes from like 90s, 2000s movies where you just like see them phantom their bodies.
It like goes.
Yeah. Just like splatter.
That's so funny. But yeah, no, I'm so excited to see what happens in book 2. And I hope Isla doesn't forgive Grimm too quickly.
Yeah. Oh my God. So my Terry and Poppy note, you ready?
Yes.
Terry and Poppy need a face punch, right?
The hurricane scene. The hurricane where they made her go through the woods in a hurricane.
Yes. And she barely lived and they were like, well, now you know what the brink of death feels like.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. It was always just like slightly one too far. Because if she had died, then what?
Right. Because then I guess then this whole also you have to get pregnant and have an heir. Like you're just, okay, bye-bye. off to pasture. You failed.
Ew.
Basically, that's what they
you're
treat
right,
them as.
But ew.
Yeah, exactly. That was messed up. And also, Poppy and Tara, there was no love lost. If that happened to Isla, they were like, okay, I'll just train another. And they were in on it. They knew about the whole
They were
everything.
part of the trap.
They were part of the trap.
Yeah, so pretty much all of my notes were like, I don't trust anyone. I don't trust Celeste. I don't trust anyone. Literally bullet point after bullet point. I don't trust Celeste. I hate Poppy and Tara. I don't trust anyone. And then, okay, you ready? Yes. Do you want to know how in my notes I described the Oro love triangle at the end?
Mm-hmm.
This is giving Where Have You Been, Loca?
Ever.
I just picture being like, Loca, where have you been?
Oh my God, that is so true. Isla in the next book is going to be jumping off cliffs into cold water so she can feel something.
So sick.
For the, she's going to take
I took her as, she's going to have a glow up. You're like, she's going to have her emo Bella.
No.
She's not going to Bella us. Bella was not a strong female.
No. And we're no hate to Bella or Twilight because we were all obsessed with her at some point. No hate. But yeah, no, I don't think Isla is going to fall. I hope not. I don't think so.
Her whole life is so sad.
It is. It's quite emotional. Like, it's pretty heartbreaking. And her parents passed away. And then at the end, again, with the villain's speech, thank their parents. They were.
Oh my God. So I'm going back through these just to make sure I hit all my notes. Do you want to know my fourth bullet point?
Yes.
So it's right after he knows she can't eat hearts. I thought Grim knew that she couldn't eat hearts right away at the dinner table, that whole scene where she's like, oh, he's disgusted with me. And I was like, but he knows you don't eat hearts. He's sending you up to your room so you don't have to deep throat hearts at this table.
Exactly.
But so right around then, right beginning, my next bullet point is I don't trust Celeste. She's going to bleed Isla dry and take the power.
That's funny. Yeah. Like, you're like, no, immediately.
Because, okay, the way I saw it is because she was always talking about how Celeste was taking a risk on her by knowing she had no power or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was like, what I initially thought was going to happen, like, yeah, then she's going to have no regrets sacrificing you. When it comes time, and Celeste isn't confident she can win the game. She's young. I thought she's just setting this whole thing up so that she can use Isla to pay the blood price.
Yeah, that's true.
For people, because the way she saw it was, you're powerless. Your people are dead anyways.
True. That's a really good point. That's a really good point. That's a good, I could totally see that makes sense in that trajectory. I also never believed Azul, the other ruler, was bad. I always knew something was like a sleight of hand there.
Seems sad.
Yeah. And he had lost his husband in the original curse, like when it was cast and everything. I also really appreciated another note that I had to go over. I appreciate how surly and grumpy Oro was at the beginning because he's not that friendly. So I was like, I like it.
He's not a golden boy.
He's not a golden boy. Blonde, but not a golden boy.
Yeah. He's towing the line, I'm telling you.
He is, which I love that the author did this for us. Throw in something new. It's
been a long time since I have been this shocked by a book. And I feel like it's slap, slap, slap. So it's like, I saw Celeste coming. I was ready for the betrayal, right? So you think, oh, predictable. No.
It wasn't.
Thing after thing after thing.
Was absolutely. I thought that Grim and her were going to have a backstory based on how the first interaction went. I did not think he was going to be involved in the betrayal. So that was shocking. That was. And that betrayal hit. It hit real hard.
Like, target reached.
Absolutely. The author did a good job there. So if we were to play Fire in the Barn, we're both saving Oro. And Grim, we're leaving Grim in there, basically.
So fucked up. Yeah, we're leaving Grim.
Well, I mean, he just betrayed us a little bit. And Isla, he betrayed. So we're a little mad.
Give a shit.
Right, exactly. Like, and then Oro even comes to save her and he's already dying. And, like, honestly, he won me over in that part of the book.
You heard it here through the grapevine. If you like what you heard, you can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at Sippin' on Spice. Please be sure to like, subscribe, follow wherever you may find us, because That way people know you like us and more people want to like us. And that's pretty cool.
Yes. And join us next week because we're going to be reviewing Nightbane, the sequel to Lightlark. So
because we have no self-control.
Right, exactly. So make sure not to miss that. And cheers.
Cheers.